What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Tito, checking in, Chest Training 101. In this video I'll be discussing with all of you which exercises I've used over the last few years to develop my chest, as my chest is one of my strong points. Now everything I say in this video is going to be personal opinion and personal experience, and if you disagree with what I say then leave a comment below and we can discuss that. But I'll be giving you exercises I do or I have done over the last few years, cues I've used to make them more effective and reasons why I use those certain cues, and all the above. So if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful or entertaining, be sure to hit that like button. That'd be very, very much appreciative. Otherwise, enjoy the video, guys. Alrighty guys, let's get started. So before we do, I want to clarify a few things and just break down the chest for you so you have a better understanding of what it is I'm talking about before I go into my exercises. But you may have heard in the last few years, especially in magazines or online, there's a lot of popular fitness models that still say this. You may have heard, do this exercise for the lower chest, this one for the middle, and this one for the upper. And technically, anatomically, there is no middle chest. And now you may be thinking, everyone says that that's the case, but that's really not. There's a clavicular portion, which you may know is the upper chest. It starts up here and goes over to your humerus. And clavicular, clavicle, upper chest, okay? So if I ever say clavicular in this video, I'm talking about the upper chest. Then there's a sternocostal head, which is the majority of your chest, all down here and goes over here as well to your humerus, and that is the lower chest. There is no middle chest. There is a pectoralis minor, which sits below those muscles, but that has completely different functions than the pectoralis major, which we were talking about in this video, in which a lot of you guys and everyone regarding bodybuilding and chest training, that's what they're talking about, the pectoralis major. So now when you look at training the chest, you want to, as any muscle group, you want to look at what that muscle does. So the chest, there's the upper and the lower, right? The clavicular and the sternocostal. The clavicular one alone flexes the humerus as it connects to the humerus, so it flexes the humerus. So if you think about it, low to high cable flies, right? Low to high cable flies works that the best, which I'll talk about later. And then there is the lower chest, which extends the humerus from a flexed position. So if you think about it, overhead pulls like that. So that's just like how you would break it down. You think about the actions it does, and then you pick exercise that I guess emulates that function. And it also does adduction, so when your humerus is like this, your shoulders like this, adduction is that. So this is abduction, adduction, and then horizontal adduction, as well as the last one I believe is internal rotation. So whenever you see your shoulder joint go like this, turn internally, then that is acted upon by your chest as well as your subscapularis, but that is irrelevant for right now, I guess. Also, before I get into my exercises, I want you guys to know, a lot of you probably already do, that training takes time, right? Building up a muscle takes time. So just because you do the exercise I tell right now and the cues I give you right now, doesn't mean your chest is going to explode in the next 2 or 3 weeks or even 4 or 5 months. It takes time, so choose a few of these exercises that I list and then get really good at them. That's how you build your chest, and that's how you build any muscle group. Choose, main exercises, the bread and butter of chest training would say, the presses, bench press, incline press. Choose a bread and butter, get really good at the bread and butter, and then your chest or your muscle group, whichever one you're training, has no reason not to grow, right? It has to grow. So here is the exercise that I do. The flat barbell bench press, the universal chest exercise that everyone does and everyone wants to know. Bro, how much do you bench press? And first and foremost, I want to start off by saying this exercise in terms of strictly chest stimulation for the lower chest, because this one is primarily for the lower chest, the sternocostal fibers. Given that when you do any exercise, guys, you're going to work all the fibers, but the degree to which you work it depends on many factors. But for this one, primarily lower chest, okay? But in terms of strictly chest stimulation, this one is inferior in comparison to the decline bench press. That one works your lower chest much better, and I'll explain why later. But the great thing about this exercise is that it's best for overload, meaning you'll get super strong with this one week by week. Especially as a beginner, you'll start off by adding 5 to 10 pounds per week. And we both know, as stated earlier, that when you get stronger exercises, your muscles will grow. So your chest will grow greatly by doing this exercise, okay? I'm not going to go into so much on the forearm on this just because it's a very common exercise. Just make sure to pinch your shoulder blades together, act like there's a pencil between your shoulders and squeeze it. Have your feet flat firmly on the ground. And in terms of shoulders, you don't want it completely flared out because your shoulders are not made to handle a lot of stress completely flared out. So what you want to do is find a fine line, between flared and unflared and tucked, because if you have too tucked, that's a lot more tricep. If you have too flared, that's bad on your shoulder. So find a fine line. No two people have the same exact form. Some people have longer arms, some have shorter arms. Everyone's going to look different, okay? Find your fine line. Next up is the incline barbell bench press, the other bread and butter of chest training. So I'd say there's flat bench press, barbell bench press, and then decline bench press. Choose 2 or 3 of those. You don't have to do 3, just choose the incline and then a flat or a decline, and get really good at those exercises, and your chest will grow. But the main thing about the incline, I will say, is the angle of the bench. A lot of people do it way too high, and know that as you have the incline higher, you're going to work a lot more front deltoid than you would want to. So I would say between 10 and 35 degrees, 30-40 degrees would be where you want it. Same thing as bench press. Make sure everything's firm, your scapulars pinched together, and find your fine line between flarage. Dumbbell pressing, incline, decline, and flat, but I'll just be showing incline and decline. So first off, I will say that dumbbell pressing is my personal favorite way to train chest. I'd say that it's also inferior to barbell in just the reason that it's a lot harder to overload dumbbell as opposed to barbell. So example, it's a lot harder to go from 75-pound dumbbells to 90 in comparison to barbell going from 185 to 210, right? It's much harder to do so. So barbell, it's a lot easier to go up in weight over time. But dumbbells, it's great because you can work unilateral, meaning that it works independent of the other, whereas barbell, if one side is stronger, it will take over. So if you have a lagging chest, this is a great way to do it, and it's just great for hypertrophy in general, in my opinion, because you get that stretch reflex as opposed to barbell where you don't. And then decline dumbbell, and now is a good time for me to talk about why decline is superior in terms of chest stimulation to flat. It's because the lower chest, the sternocostal fibers, are angled downward, just like how the clavicular portion is angled upward. So if you do flat bench press, then you're not getting the best stimulation, because to get the best stimulation, you want the movement to mimic the way the fibers go as best you can. So that's why decline is better. Dips, body weighted, all of the above. I will say that this and the following exercises are considered to be accessory. So get really good at the previous ones, then use these in order to stimulate your fibers more and also aid in getting stronger at the other ones. But this one, all I really have to say is use the widest grip you can. So you can see going forward, I have a narrower grip. Use the wider one and lean forward. You're going to work a lot more chest as opposed to straight up. You don't have to go all the way up, and just lean forward, keep constant tension, feel your chest working. Low to high cable flies, my personal favorite way to do chest flies, and why I like to do it is because it primarily works the upper chest. Now remember, I stated previously that the upper chest, a function of it is to flex the humerus, and that is exactly what this does. So be sure to, when you do these, don't have the cables too low, because if you have it too low, then it's primarily going to be a front deltoid exercise. So find a fine line between the mid portion of where the cable goes and then the lower portion, go in the middle of that, and you have it perfect. A second thing is you want to roll your shoulders back, so your shoulders have a natural tendency to roll forward, and here you will see I loosely relax my shoulders and let them go back. So then I relax my chest, stretch it the best, and then do my fly motion. Dumbbell pullovers, one of these single exercises that doesn't have any other exercise that emulates the same function. So I want to say this is also a lat movement, but it's a great chest one. And why is it a great chest one? Is because it does the exact movement pattern as stated earlier as a function of the chest. So like I said at the beginning of the video, the lower chest, the sternocostal fibers, a function of that is to extend the humerus from a flexed position. So when you bring it down like that, your humerus is flexed, then you extend it. That's primarily lower chest. You should feel a nice stretch as you go down, and you don't want to flex your elbows too much, because then it'll be more of a tricep extension. So find your line. As stated previously, a lot of this is feel. It's a natural tendency to flex your elbow. And other than that, that's it, guys. Be sure to like the video. TitoFit.com for training apparel. Much love, guys.